abortion is the practice of terminating a pregnancy by destroying the fetus in the womb. In many years, the number of people that doing this abortion is increasing year by year. And there is a stigma from some religion that abortion is a sadistic action and intolerant action. And this is why we need a regulation from the International Convention to make a regulation that protect the right to do this abortion action. In this case, I agree with guarantees regarding regulation in which international convention protect the right for people to have an abortion because this abortion can occur due to several factors. The first is economic factors, where we know that not all families have the same economic ability, and also what we know in particular in many developing countries, poor families generally have a large number of children, which will greatly impact their economic life. Then the second is from the health side, where at the time of giving birth, the mother life can be threatened because of the fetus inside it. This is the reason why the right to have an abortion must be created and protected in an international convention. And the third factor is rape. Many women get pregnant because of this action, and this makes the victims mentally and healthily unable to support the fetus in the future.
Okay, thank you. Uh, but we do not agree because if abortion is protected by international law, then human right will disappear, especially the right to life for babies, because being protected by law can increase the number of abortion carried out by every human being with reason or factors from the family where the abortion occurred. If abortion is protected by law international, women will suffer the most in this case because abortion occur from unwanted pregnancies, for example, rape or accidental pregnancies when they are not married or are dating. If it is protected by law international, it will definitely increase abortion and women will experience many impact, both physically and mentally, which are difficult to cure late or in the long term. In the end, any relation for abortion should not be protected under international law.
Okay. If a team discuss about the human rights of the baby, the mother also has the same human rights. Several factors such as pressure from outsiders, especially the family, can affect the mental health of the mother. It is not uncommon for people who become MBA to have an abortion for fear of being labeled bad by their surroundings. Even in some cases, mothers who do not succeed in having an abortion choose to end their lives because they cannot stand pressure from outside. Reflecting on the news some time ago, there had been a murder of a pregnant woman who has suspected of being an MBA by her own partner. This happened because the mother did not want to abort her baby, while the man wanted to kill the baby. To control abortion cases, the government can bring this case to the International Convention so that human rights can be properly protected. This case is serious enough to be brought to the International Convention. Therefore, every country must adhere to the same policy. International Convention can be one of the right places to handle this case. Many countries are still confused about handling abortion cases. Policies in International Convention can help solve abortion problems from the same point of view, considering this problem exists in almost all countries in the world.
Okay, thank you for the argument, but we're not agree with the agreement that has been delivered. because related to the culture of each country, if the issues of abortion is discussed internationally, then it will not be accordance with the customary regulation that exists in each country. Because we know for ourselves, there are still several countries that prioritize the customary regulation as a form of respect for the existence of this customary regulation. And not to mention, if they are related to religion, which certainly cannot be compatible between one religion and another, which makes regulation regarding abortion incompatible if the same regulation are made globally. Also, added to the argument that was mentioned earlier regarding mental influences, mental matters can be discussed in the national affairs. The international world can indeed provide additional support for the mother side, but it would be better if the abortion matter was discussed in the national affairs. Because in my opinion, matters that fall under the international affair is not personal matters regarding the right of one person, but concerns for many people, concerning the rights of a single state, not only for mothers or just for mother itself, but also for children, for the husband side, for the side of one's own gender, both men or maybe women, also women, sorry. The national community will certainly only prioritize or discuss things that will benefit for each exchange, not for their rights. Human rights are indeed discussed, but not discussed in detail to individuals. Therefore, I do not agree the abortion is made international law because of its implementation. It will not be able to run properly and smoothly. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as the third speakers from the opposite team, at first we need to declare that we are not stand with these motions because there are two arguments already mentioned before from the first speakers and the second speakers from the opposite teams. The first argument says that if abortion is protected by international conventions, it will destroy human right itself because there are many abortion happens if it's legal to happen. If people already got that agreed, the international conventions agreed that the abortions that legal to happen, there will be increase the abortions number and bring a new problem to us. We are not just talking about the economic itself, or maybe we are talking about the healthies and the education system. We are talking about the increase of the abortions. It's an important things to think about the futures. The second argument says we cannot agree because every countries have a different cultures, different religions, and different religious things about having a children's and doing abortions. The implementations will make a huge mess because there will be any contra about the abortions and bring a lot of bad speculative arguments about the abortion itself. The first argument already mentions that from the government schemes, they say that the number of abortions increase and there are a lot of stigma. So why the opposite team says that the abortion shouldn't be happens? Because the abortions, if the abortion happens and agreed by international law, it will increase the abortion itself. So we need to bring a new solutions. We are not ready yet to make sure that the abortion is legal for us. And here I would like to bring a new arguments from the third speakers, bring abortions to the next level like international conventions will increase the number of abortion itself. Like I mentioned before, without any consent, we need to talk about the parents' consent before trying to have a children. And now here, I would like to make sure that the fetus have no right yet. Based on the law, the fetus have not right yet. The right is given to the children who have born to the world. If the fetus are not already born and the abortion before it born itself, so the fetus have no right yet. So we don't need to argue that about the fetus human right. We need to talk about the women itself. We need to talk about the decisions that women have making to do the abortion and didn't want to have a children. We need to talk about the consent because having children is already talked and mentioned before. The having children, it's all about economic, and if people not ready to have children yet, they can't make sure that they are doing a safe sex, and then they are not gonna have the girl not don't have to have a pregnant, and the girl mentally are not able, if the girls or maybe the parent itself not able to support the children by mentally, in the future the children will get hard life because of that. So why we don't need to bring abortion to international levels, and we need to not legally the abortions by international law. Thank you. So here I'm as the speaker from this team would like to propose our consent about these motions. The motion is talk about the abortion should be protected by international convention. So here we agreed about these motions because there is already a lot of arguments from the two sides, and we can make simplifies and summary that and mention that the abortion is really need to legally by international convention. Here I would like to explain why we need to legally the abortion should be protected by the international convention. First, the opposite team already says that the number of abortions is increased, and there are a lot of stigma about it. The increase of abortions, it's because we are not legally yet. Why? If the parents not ready to have a children by mentally and economic side, they are trying to abort the fetus. Why we don't need to think about the fetus right? Maybe people would think that the fetus have right, but based on the law, the fetus have no right yet, because based on the law itself, the right should be given to the person who have birth to this world. The children should be have born to this world. And the fetus not ready to born yet itself. So the fetus have no right yet. But the people will have a right make the fetus. So we need to talk about the girls and the boys and the parents self. If the parents, the girls and the boys and the fathers and the mother are not ready to have a children by mentally and economic, is it all right to do an abortions? And of course, based on the law, the international people will think that and have a lot of agree bad things, or maybe a lot of uh, consent about these things, but we need to make it clear the abortion is not that bad. The abortion focus is need to prepare the parents to having a children, and if they not prepare well to having a children, they can do abortions, because if the children's born to the world and the person or maybe the parents not ready by economic or mentally, the children's in the futures will get hard by life because of that. So why here we from this team would like to propose, we are stand to these motions and would like to abortion need to protected by international conventions. Thank you.
Beside some several actors that doing an abortion is a legal thing, like economic factors, health factors, and the and the factor is the rape factors and sexual harassment. The second reason is we talk about the human rights. In the Human Rights Act article, in the first article, talk about a freedom of life. What is the meaning of freedom of life? Freedom of life is people can choose or make their decision about the way of their life. So consider of that, the mother also can choose whether she keeps his fetus or doing the abortion. Besides that, the baby haven't been born yet, so they can't choose their own decision. So this is the reason why it's fine to do an abortion.
Okay, thank you. But still, in my opinion, whatever reasons relate to the support of abortion cannot be under or supported by international law because the laws and culture in each country are different. So they cannot be combined with one global law. And what are really emphasizes is that if abortion is protected in international law, it will definitely, definitely increase the number of abortion and more babies who should have the right to life and the future must be killed before they are born. And I don't agree because even though the baby has not been born yet, the baby in the womb already has life and can be said to be a living being. Yes, for example, we agree with your opinion, but what is at issue later, if protected by law, many abuse this regulation and increase the number of abortion worldwide. Because of what I mentioned earlier, many have abortion because it is an accident during pregnancy, such as rape or pregnancy out of wedlock. Therefore, with so many cases like that, if abortion is protected by international law, it is very that it called later increase the number of abortion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the argument. But in this case, the human rights that must be prioritized are the rights of the mother, because the fetus has not fully obtained human rights. Therefore, we must prioritize the rights of the mother. Moreover, many cases of abortions are caused by the mother who's getting sexual harassment or being raped. Of course, this case mother. The mother as a victim must be blamed by several parties. The economical factors are also one of the serious problems that must be faced. Not infrequently, people have abortions because they think about the future of their children who are not guaranteed. Abortion is considered to be one of the right choices, considering that the government also does not guarantee that it can provide assistance. This can be the basis for international law regarding the right to abortion. Such international law can be made by considering various factors, such as, for example, pregnancy caused by rape. International conventions can cooperate with related parties regarding the provisions of abortion rights policies. International conventions can also further research the culture of each country so that the policies can be applied in general in various countries. Thank you.
Okay, apart from the argument that has been mentioned earlier, we do not agree that abortion is discussed in international law because if we look back at each other, most countries like maybe Europe and North America already have laws regarding the legalization of abortion in their respective territories, although not entirely. But if abortion were made international law, it would undermine the existing and approved law of each country. Because of course, each country will change its law so that's more in line with international law and not based on existing law in accordance with the condition of society in each country, as well as the law that have been stipulated by each country have been properly implemented in the current condition of society. And if the implementation is effective like that, why should it be included in international law again? There will be imbalance if there are two laws that are the same in one problem. Like the process of solving problems or cases related to abortion will be more complicated and require more time. And again, concerning national interest, the international community will certainly only prioritize or discuss those things that will provide benefits for its exchange. It is enough only according to the rules of each country that the course of implementation of the law regarding abortion will go as desired. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as the third speakers from the opposite team would like to given an arguments to about these motions. First, in our side, we already says that the abortion is not legally protected by international conventions because it can destroy the human right itself. And the second is we can't agree because every countries have a different cultural about having a children and doing abortions. And the last, I have bring that the arguments about the next level, like international convention, will increase the number of abortion itself without any consent. Now here, I would like to bring some new purpose and new ideas about this case. First, I would like to talk about there is no guarantee if we legally make these things, then legally abortion in international convention and already protected, the women are not getting a bad impact from doing the abortion itself. We know that together, doing abortion is not doing abortion is not just an easy thing. It's a really hard things to do with any consent and maybe emotional things. Here, I would like to talk about 4 points in this case. First, the impact that the women or maybe the parents get itself about doing the abortions is such as first, the social stigma. The social stigma is about the social punishments. The abortion, we know that the abortion is not a good thing to do because the fetus it's made because the consent about of the persons that doing free sex. So why the in such some of countries there is a social stigma based on the abortion. So the person, if they are already doing abortion, if it will make that the people look different from the others, and it will separate the people already doing abortion with the all of the other peoples, and maybe if in the future it will make a new problems in our societies. We know that together our societies is really dynamic and everything is changed time by time. Maybe right now a lot of people try to make the legal things about the abortions and bring it to the next level like international convention that the abortion is already protected. But here I would like to propose to all of the audience that the abortion is not there is no guarantee that abortion is can stop the social stigma about having abortions. And the second, I would like to talk again about the health issues. We know that together doing the abortion, and there is no guarantee the abortion is doing well and not getting a bad impact from doing that. If the women are already doing the abortion, we cannot guarantee that the women didn't get any cases and more things that maybe impact his body or maybe his health issues in the futures. We know that and then next from the health issues, we are going to talk about the mental issues. We know that together why the abortion is happened because we want that from the protein that say that the children will get life hard by because the parents will not ready by mentally and economic. So that's why we are not getting to legally the abortion itself. Why? Because when the abortion is happened, it needs to be the consent in the both of the parents. If it just by the force of the parents or maybe from the one side, you will make that mental issues in the women's side. We cannot guarantee that the women didn't get any mental issues because of it. And then the last, there is no well prepared from the country around the world about access to having abortions. We know that together our health facilities is not that good in the developing countries. We know that in developed countries, maybe there is a lot of good facilities about the health. But what about the country we didn't have a good health facilities? The abortion is a new thing. We need to bring in new facilities. We need to make sure that it's accessible for everyone to doing that abortions. And then we need to talk about the cost. There is amount of cost we need to bring to send to doing abortion because it's not an easy thing, it's a hard thing. And last, about the facilities. If you want to have the abortion facilities, we need to bring it around the world, and not all of the country can afford that because maybe their country have no such as a good health facilities or maybe a good economic from the side. So that's why our team from the opposite team would like not to stand to these motions. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from this group would like to propose the final discussions in this focused group discussions about the legally protected the abortion by the international conventions. The summary and the conclude things from these resolutions is we are stand to this motion. We want to the abortion is protected by the international convention. There is some reason from the both teams that we already discussed, and we all find one way that makes sure that we need to protect the abortions. Here, I would like to propose some of the good arguments that's why we need to protected the abortions by the international conventions. Here, first, I would like to talk about the guarantee to the women or maybe the parents who are having a children's. We know that together, the women having pregnancy, not all just by his consent or maybe by what she wants or maybe the parents wants. We know that a lot of rape case or maybe not very good around the world. So there is no guarantee about the health issues, the mental issues, and the economic things, then well prepared from the parents about their children's. When they're mentally not able to support the children in the future, the children will get hurt by life because of that. So that's why we want that more children get a bad futures because of it. The second argument is we are going to talk about the economic side. The economic side is such as a big things in this world. The economy will bring the dominic restrictions because it will blame the children itself because when the parents not ready to have a children, they are not well prepared about their educations, economic in the futures, or maybe it's playing in the future itself. So that's why we want that there is more parents and more children having a bad futures to having not ready to having a children. So that's why we are not getting to bring these motions up. And then we know that together the number of abortion is increased around the world. This increase is because of the abortion is not legal in all of the countries. Maybe in the developed countries, the facilities and the legality things about abortion is already accepted by all of people and it's accessible for everyone. But now we are going to the international levels. There's a lot of countries and a lot of people. It's here around the world we want to talk about all everyone's. We don't talk about the developed countries, but we were going to talk about the developing countries too, maybe the poor countries too. We need to bring the abortion facilities so that all of the women in the world can access the abortions with the low cost, easy accessibility, and have a good facility around the world. And it will the growing up the health facilities around the world, ladies and gentlemen. And then the next argument is there's a lot of stigma. There is a lot of social issues in this case. If a woman having a children without his consent, the women will get social stigma by the peoples because having a children without any marriage in some countries is a bad thing. And if we connect it with the traditional things around the world and maybe some religious, is it a prohibited things to do? So that's why we want that any women, any parents, and any children around the world will get harmed by the social stigma itself. We want that there is more children get stigma by a bad children. We want that a lot of women around the world get a bad stigma by a bad woman for doing free sex and having a children without any marriage. And then the last, we were talking about their mental issues and then the mental issues. We know that in this era, the mental issues is a really, really big things. We are not just talking about the health issues itself. We are going to talk about the mental issues. We know that the number of abortion is increased by the underage women and unmarried parents. So that's why the mental health is a really, really big thing to talk in this motion. So that's why we are stand to this motion. Thank you very much. And it's all from us. Thank you.